The following program is rated TV MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hi, Scout.
Hi, babe.
How are you today?
I'm good. I don't know what you put on my fucking back,
feel
but
better or
it's
no?
like it does feel better. But what did you put on my back?
It's lidocaine.
Lidocaine?
It's like rubbing Aspercream on your back.
Oh, okay.
It's not affecting your brain.
No, it's not affecting my brain. But I wonder, like, because now I'm moving things and now it doesn't hurt. But if I take it off, is it gonna I'm gonna feel?
No, it's not like something that's no. I mean, it just may be working, and then you just have to reapply something.
Also, it's fucking hot in Texas.
It's inside the
fucking hot. It's
conditioning.
hot in here. Are you not having hot flashes right now?
No.
God, it's hot. I think you've just gotten used to
Yeah,
this like 100-degree weather and it's normal and it's humid and you're like melting outside.
I'm in premenopause. I'm always like, I don't know what temperature my body is.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're young. You're young. It's okay. It's all good. Guys, we've got a motherfucking guest.
Finally.
We've got a guest. I've been trying to get this man for a bit.
How did you finally get him? Did you send him?
I slid into them DMs.
You slid into the DMs?
I slid into them DMs. And then when I slid into them DMs, his girl responded and I was like, oh, this is not usually what happens. And she goes, hey, baby. She goes.
And if she did, she wouldn't have replied with that.
She goes, hey. She's like, your wedding photos look great. I read his Insta. Here's his number. I was like, oh, thanks, babe. Love you. I was like, this is so great. Would you like?
Hey guys, you know him as Michael Myers.
Fucking Michael Myers.
Well, from the last three. And we know him as James Jude Courtney. Welcome to the show. Hi, everybody.
Hey,
Hi,
guys.
James.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, hunky dory. So stoked to be here.
Where are you right now? What state are you in?
In Columbia, South Carolina.
You're in South Carolina. Is that where you live? Do you live there? When did you move there?
I moved back here like 6 years ago.
Wow.
And it was just time. I was like burnt out on Los Angeles and Santa Monica, Venice, so not Santa Monica, Venice anymore. And and this is, for you astrology lovers, it's my Venus line. So when I moved back here, my astrologer buddy, who you'll never find, but he's like world famous, he told me, he's like, strap yourself in, man. Everything's going to the next level. You're going to meet your life partner. Your whole career is going to change. There's going to be something that's going to happen. It's going to shift. And lo and behold, I hit Halloween and I met Sarah. So like, boom.
Oh, I need that guy's information.
Was it based on your chart, on your birth chart, or was it just the way the planets were aligned during that time?
You'll never find this guy because he has such high-end clients that he doesn't publish. He's not on the internet. He's nowhere. But
you have his number.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
what's your sign? Since I'm a huge person into signs. I love.
She's very spiritual.
It's right on. It's I'm a double Aquarius, Sun and Moon Aquarius, rising sign is Taurus.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think the crazy thing is I have Chiron direct my sun, so it's very, very unusual. And it's crazy because when I met, because whenever I meet a new woman, I've never been married. I've always had a sort of a revolving door of friends and lovers, and when I met Sarah, I texted Brian, my buddy, and I was like, okay, here's her birth information. What do you think of this one? A couple of days later, I'm still in Scotland. Our first date was 3 weeks long, so we're still in Scotland together. And
beautiful.
And I'm like, he's like, wow, I've never seen this in 50 years of astrology. You two have absolute perfect aspects in true romance and long distance travel. And that has been our life story for 5 years now. It's just like, it's incredible. It's amazing.
And she's hot too.
She is a hottie. She is a hottie. I was like, who's that hot girl? I was like, she's signing?
Yeah.
She knew like final girl. Like I was like, oh, cool. I was like, we get to have like a young, hot fucking girl. I was like, oh, James snagged that. James snagged that. I was like, okay. That's funny. Well, I'm a Pisces.
Nice. I get along well with you. That's why I get along well with you. It's one of the reasons.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I'm a Gemini and you get along well with me too, I think.
Which one of you?
I know. Well,
Yeah.
I'm that.
Which one is the Gemini?
It just
which
depends.
side?
It just depends on how tired I am or how hungry I am. That's when the other one comes out, or when I need to go to bat for someone, or yeah. That one doesn't rear her head unless I'm pushed pretty hard, and then I would run. Definitely run out of the way.
Man, I don't know, man. I don't see Gemini in you like I don't see it. It's so weird.
I'm also like I'm Cancer and Sagittarius.
That's what I see, man. I see Sagittarius and a Cancer.
Yeah.
Like I think you were like, fuck Gemini. I'm not, nope, that's not me. I'm not being that.
I think that's where it gets disarming though, because just because you're a Libra or a Sagittarius or Scorpio, everything else in your chart could be somewhere else, you know?
That's the thing.
And things shift, over time. And I mean, it really pays to have someone, professionally look just for self-knowledge, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I look at it for guidance. I know when to sign contracts and when not to. I mean, this guy tells people when to release movies and when not to, and his track record is like on top of it. I mean, he predicts.
So do you go to this guy for advice, or do you use like CoStar or something like that to like kind of see where?
No, I've known this guy 45 years.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
The stuff he told me when I was 32 was just like, it's mind blowing. I can still
What did he tell you? Was that the first time you guys met? How did you meet?
Oh, there's so many things. No, I knew him from the gym because he was Frank Zane's training partner, who was Mr. Olympia, and Sylvester Stallone's training partner. And so I knew him from the gym. I didn't know that he was an astrologer, but then I got a reading like 7 years after I met him, and I'm like, whoa, that's what you do? And it just blew. I think the reading was like 5 hours long. It just blew me away.
Oh, love it. I love it.
It's insane. It's just knowledge. You know what I mean? It's just information to use to make decisions. I don't live my entire life by it, but he's accurate enough that I have to pay attention.
Yeah. A good reading like that, man, can really steer me in the right direction. Like I could be at a crossroad and be like, but when I get like a good reading, or I take my cards out and I do like a little reading for myself, it just like everything just connects. Like I just need, sometimes I become out of balance and out of whack, and I just need to get grounded again.
Have you ever done ayahuasca or any like mind tripping medicine?
Yeah, absolutely. I've done quite a bit of it. The first time I did ayahuasca, I did it in Peru, and then after that, I probably did ayahuasca 15 to 20 times with the former chief of staff of Cedar Sinai Psychiatric.
Yes.
Dr. Alan Blank, who's recently passed away. But the first one I did, I was my friend, very, very dear friend, Maury Rapkin, one of the first licensed psychologists in the state of California. He did LSD in the 1950s with Aldous Huxley and Cary Grant and the UCLA studies. So like every Thursday we'd hang out at his place and at his office and kind of like just feed off the wisdom of this amazing man. And that morning I'd woken up and I from a dream, and I looked at my girlfriend at the time, Sally, and I was like, I have to go to Peru. And she goes, well, go. So I got on the phone to make a reservation, and then I go to see my good friend Frank Jasper, who's an acupuncturist, but you guys might remember him as Brian Shute in the movie Vision Quest. He was the badass wrestler that carried the log up, And so I was like, hey man, I'm going to Peru. And he takes me up and introduces me to Alberto Violdo, who's a medical anthropologist studying shamanism in Peru for 25 years. So then they set me up with all this stuff for Peru. It's gonna take me a couple weeks to get out because I'm using frequent flyer miles, which we always have. and then that night I'm in Maury's office, and this woman comes into Trance Channel, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're traveling." And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Do you know why?" I was like, "No." She goes, "Close your eyes." I closed my eyes. She goes, "What do you see?" I was like, "Mountains." She goes, "Look at your body. What do you see?" I was like, "Wow, I have brown skin and a loincloth." And she goes, "Look behind you. What do you see?" And I was like, "Jungle." She goes, "Look into the jungle. What do you feel?" And I was like, "Fear." She goes, "Why do you feel fear?" And all of a sudden this puma comes loping out, this black puma in my vision, right? And she goes, "Look at your body again." And it was just shredded. And she goes, "You're going back to finish a ritual you started 500 years ago. So when you drink of the earth," she did this, "when you drink of the earth, we suggest that you mark your body with the scars so she knows you're coming in love, because if she thinks you're coming in peace, it's going to be a very long night." And so I went through the Andes for 3 weeks with the shaman that Dr. Violdo set me up with, doing cleansing rituals, and it was really awesome. And then I met my ayahuasquero, And this woman had said to me, the people of the Puma are waiting for you. And when I met him, he hands me his card. He goes, it's Mario El Puma. And then
Shut up.
Yeah, right. And then in the vision, as 3D as I see, you know, like this, I saw a scepter. I saw a dragon first, then I knew I was protected, and just kind of hovered, you know. And then a scepter, and then the Puma came loping up, except this time she was a mountain lion. She was gold. And she worked with me all night. I literally fell asleep on her forearm. She was purring behind me. I could smell the musk in her breath, and her purring rattled my entire, and that's how I fell asleep, with her like embracing me. Nothing has ever compared to that. I think I've been chasing the dragon ever since.
Oh man. Did you feel like, okay, because I've been wanting to do ayahuasca for some time. I've been wanting to go and actually like go somewhere majestic like that and do this. Did you feel like you needed to go do this? Like, did you do research? Did you like, what made you want to take that journey?
You know, this is the way my life works. Like, shit just happens.
Just happens, yeah.
It just happens. I didn't remember the dream when I woke up. I thought I was on hiatus. I was working on a TV show. I was working on Babylon 5, and I thought, oh, you know, okay, great. I'm gonna take this time and go on a spiritual journey somewhere. But the universe had other ideas, man.
Yeah,
you know. But I've explored ibogaine, which is an African, and that, kids, is not for the faint of heart.
What is that? Tell me what that is. What is
the iboga bush is it has the alkaloids like, you know, like ayahuasca, like peyote, but that was like a 36-hour journey.
Oh boy.
But they use it to cure addiction, because it's a one and done. That it'll knock heroin out, I mean, fentanyl, whatever. But I in that journey, the first 12 hours I couldn't even move. I couldn't move at all. I was frozen. The second 12, I could crawl away to go to the bathroom. And then the third. So I watched my mind being deconstructed and then being reconstructed. But these things all have to be done with sacred intent.
Yeah.
Are you in the room with someone? Is there someone guiding you through that time?
Each time I've done these, been with a shaman. Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting because I feel like I don't want to describe it. I don't want to say poison because that's a really awful word, but like there's things within my self that I know that are like wanting to get out, like wanting to heal, wanting to like find the light, wanting like trauma. Yes, but like it's deeper than that. Like my brain wiring is like unlike any other. Like I feel it. So when you say like things just like happen to me, I never have those moments. I have to think like I need to go do that to be able to heal. Like I wish it was like authentic and things just like kind of come into place. I wonder if it would be as healing me searching for it rather than like just like letting it.
I think this is just, you need to rework how you work. Like you are someone that doesn't stop.
What do you mean?
You can't allow your soul to guide you when you're constantly running. And you're running all the time because it's so big what's inside that I don't think you're ready yet. I think it's going to come, and you'll know when your time is right. But I don't think you're there yet because you're fucking all over the place.
Well, I think that's a common, isn't it? I mean, it's common, especially for people who are motivated, right? Who are ambitious. There's a guy named Michael Newton, and he's a PhD. He did past life regressions, and I've done a ton of past life regressions. I used to go to Cedars-Sinai, and there's a psychiatrist named Adrian Finkelstein he would take my SAG insurance, and he would lecture me out of the Kabbalah, or, you know, the Torah, or, you know, Zoroastrianism or something like that. And then we do a half-hour past life regression. So I really like those. But when I went to Michael Newton, he takes his people to the space between lives. So you can meet your soul family. You can see where souls are born. You can see where they're rehabilitated. You meet a counsel before you're born. You meet that same counsel when you die, and you sort of go over your life. And what I discovered for me, I mean, again, I have no desire to impress my belief system on anybody else. This is just my experience, right? But what I discovered there is, for instance, I'm only using 25% of my soul energy in this body. but I'm capable of dragging in as much as 75% in highly creative situations. And so I think we have to find, it's like we're running on the we have a multi-cylinder engine, and we
the autopilot
4 cylinders because we're saving energy. But when we really need to kick in all 12 cylinders, boom, then the flames come out the back of the car, and we're jammed. So I mean, some of us I can't pursue things like if I chase after a woman or a job or anything I pursue either blows up or I don't get it. My job is to be in myself, to do the work, to be prepared, so that when the opportunity comes, like you two beautiful women right now having this podcast, like if I would have sought you guys out, it would have blown up. Something horrible would have happened. You know what I mean? But I was ready for you guys, and of course I love you both, and I admire you both. And now here's this beautiful moment that I get to share with you.
God, you're such an incredible being.
Oh, I'm so full of shit too. I'm a douchebag.
He's like, prank.
It's so interesting. I always feel like the guys that play the killers, the bad guys in movies are always the kindest, nicest, sweetest, most well-rounded. I mean, there's you got to have a little something dark in there to be able to do that stuff. But it's always shocking when even just knowing you and not knowing all of the specifics about you. Have you talked about this aspect of your personality and your beliefs anywhere other? I mean, or is it just the general? That's why we started the podcast, to get to know other sides of our horror friends that we don't necessarily. We know you before we know your movies,
Right.
Have you found if people are interested in this side of you, or do you not talk about it a lot, or how does that work?
No, it's come out a few times in podcasts to various degrees, a couple times in radio interviews, but radio it's so truncated, and you have to be really careful because it's a broad audience. But never really fully like that. The whole story of what I just experienced. No, I haven't heard that. But there's I want to share this with you. So Basil Rathbone. Do you guys know who this guy is?
No.
Let's see if I can get so Basil Rathbone was the highest paid character actor in Hollywood, 30s, 40s, and 50s, right? He played Captain Blood he played in Captain Blood. He played the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood. He was the best swordsman in Hollywood, hands down, right? He played tons and tons of bad guys, except he played Sherlock Holmes. He was very famous for playing Sherlock Holmes. But he was also known as being one of the nicest guys in the world. And he played so many bad guys, and he played them really well. I think he's one of the best actors of his age. And it was said of him and his friend Errol Flynn that Errol Flynn had the tougher job because Errol Flynn was a total asshole who had to play a nice guy. And Basil Rathbone was a really good guy, deeply metaphysical, deeply spiritual, who had to play bad guys. And I think it's easier when we have the stability of being spiritually grounded, to embody the darkness. And then to breathe it out again, and to have the technique to breathe it out again.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think that I resonate with that. I definitely resonate with that, because I can go pretty fucking dark. But if I didn't have I'm a very spiritual person. If I didn't have that grounding me back to my shell of a being, it would be so fucking hard.
Yeah.
I would be a raging bitch. It would be hard to go to those places.
Psychotics. I mean, David Green told me in 2018, he said that he only worked with one other actor who could go as deep and dark as I went in 2018. And the guy ended up in a psych ward for 2 months. He had a psychotic break. But he didn't have a technique. I wrap myself in a blue ring of protection from Archangel Michael. I do deep breathing exercise, like Max Strom. If you go to maxstrom.com, he teaches breathing, right?
Yeah, Max, he's a burner. he goes to Burning Man and does some of those things.
he's crazy. So he's a beautiful, beautiful human being. And so what I do is I protect myself, and then I breathe the character in until I hear check the gate. When I hear check the gate and know I'm going to have a break, I breathe the character out again. Then I'm my normal douchebag self until I go back into, the character. So.
Wow. God, it's so interesting to hear other actors techniques and what works for them. I would have never thought watching you play Michael Myers that is what James is doing behind that mask.
He's protecting himself.
Yeah. That is wild.
I protected myself before I met you guys. You kidding?
Yeah.
Dangerous bitches, you know what I'm saying?
You should.
Like, all these crazy asses.
fucking
These
should.
crazy asses. So okay, so let's just like let's
go back into the questions.
Let's go into
ask.
Michael Myers' world. How did that come about?
I had just moved back to South Carolina. I traveled for 5 years working to get some films financed, and my brother's cancer journey was simultaneous with that. And I had amazing experiences. And then I moved back to Los Angeles, sublet of pace in the canals, and it just wasn't right for me. I knew it wasn't right. So things, a lot of things blew up, and I was like, I don't need to be here. I mean, at this stage of my career, and I was really working hard on just getting things produced and writing. And I said, you know what, from this point forward, only thing I do in front of camera is when people call me and ask me. And I had people call, friends call, and I did some commercials and, did a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But I wasn't really interested in being in front of camera. I was more interested in writing and producing. And so, of course, when you turn your back on something, that there's a void
comes
created,
calling. Yeah.
And so I bought a place here and I gutted it out and I rebuilt it, and I was just focusing on my stuff. And I get a call from the stunt coordinator on the Rob Zombie films, and he said, "Hey man, we're doing another Halloween." I went, "Yeah, I know. They're doing it in South Carolina. It's awesome, man. You're gonna have a blast." And he's like, "Well, I read the script and I called David Gordon Green and Malika Akkad and said, the script is different than any other Halloween script. Whoever plays Michael Myers has to have really deep acting chops and has to be a really good stuntman. And there's just not many of those guys around." And David Gordon Green said, "Well, he's got to be 6'3", 200 pounds, and in the 60s. Who do you know?" And Ron knew me for 30 years, but he didn't think about it. It was my really good friends, Chris and Jennifer Nielsen, who brought my name up to him. And he was like, "Yeah." So they called me. I went down to Charleston from Columbia, about an hour and a half, and put me on tape. And I really had a nonchalant attitude about it. It was like, this is cool, man. If I do it, I do it. If I don't, I don't. I got all this shit rolling. And I didn't get to the parking lot, and I got a call from Blumhouse, and they're like, "Are you available?" I was like, "Yeah." And you guys know this. As soon as you're put on available, kiss of death. You're not going to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I went, yeah, good. Like, this is great. Now I can just focus on my shit. I don't have to worry about this. Didn't even get to the freeway, and they called me again and said, "Hey, David wants to meet you. Can you come back?" And so after they saw me, from what I understand, they just didn't look at anybody else. It was done. So
Whoa.
What was your audition?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What did you have to do in the room?
it was I had a lot of movement, but then I had to go into my acting training. I trained with Stella Adler, and I had a private coach from Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. And, I had a series of very, very good instructors, and I worked hard at it. And, all the stunt work that I've done. And because I did the Adventures of Conan back in the 80s, in that live show, I fought with double swords and, probably 7,000 sword fights and easily 3,000 high falls into a flaming pit. So the stunt stuff was already ingrained. So anything I've done in front of cameras is all based on that, those early years. And then we talked about the psychology of killing, and I think I kind of freaked out the casting director, because
What did you say?
Yeah, I was like, "What do you remember?"
What'd you tell her?
Said? We love that shit. We love
well,
it. We eat it up.
It's really about it's in all of us, It's really in all of us. And then the question is how close can we as actors get into the experience of what that really is, and still be sane. And I think I might have pushed the envelope with this guy a little bit, because killing is a very empowering. I mean, psychopathic killers, mass murderers, they feed off it on so many different levels: psychological, emotional, sexual. There's all these elements that are a part of it. And that's really freaky to people, I mean, getting in the mind of a psycho killer is not an easy place. And but that's exactly what David wanted. David Gordon Green is a twisted motherfucker, man. I love this guy. So yeah, it was cool.
That's
what was out of the last 3 movies, which was your favorite to see, like the final product? Which one did you like the most?
It's really hard for me because I don't like to watch my work. I'm really process oriented. I don't really care to watch what I've done. So if I'm watching something, it's because the director has called me over to the monitor and we want to see how something's working. Or if I'm watching a film, it's usually something that I've done that I'm involved in, or involved with the people who are making it. And it's before it's been scored, it's before it's been color time, before, when we're looking at rough edits and seeing how things work. that's the creative part for me. I can honestly say when I'm in front of a camera, I'm the most relaxed and grounded that I am in my entire life. But when I go into a premiere and watch myself on a screen, I'm sweating bullets.
Yeah.
It's
horrible.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. We feel it too. I turn into a completely, I don't know, I can't even recognize myself.
Yeah.
The anxious, like
It's weird.
That feeling. Especially like a carpet, you know. I don't know why.
But you can get in front of 100 people on set and a
Mhm.
camera
Oh yeah, yeah.
and be completely vulnerable, or you know, and it's like nothing compared
Absolutely.
to
Or do
fear and anxiety
panels
of
or
thing. Yeah.
podcasts or anything else that we do. And I think those movies for me, it's all one movie anyhow. 18
Yeah.
kills and ends. It's all one movie. You
Yeah.
know, and it's so rare where you know, we get to experience the same director, the same cast, same crew
Right.
that, you know, so it was really just a continuum. I have to say, you know, like there are so many at the very end when Jamie and I shot the finale, which took about a week. We both said that it was the most powerful thing we've ever done, each individually.
Wow.
It was so profoundly deep and rich and emotional. I mean, we were, both of us experienced the gamut of human emotions. You know, love, hate, fear, wanting to live, wanting to die. And that's the first time that my character, in that character, I got to experience all those human emotions. Because my character in my perception was a 5D character. It was a character that existed outside of 3D reality. No right, no wrong, no black, no white, just an isness, and a very powerful isness. And so that finale brought everything into a more human spectrum for the character that I played. And she and I had this incredible love-hate thing going on. And she is such a dynamic, you know, human being, such a dynamic actor. I mean, it was just that's the highlight of the whole thing for me.
So you got a lot of shit, or you know, people didn't like the last one, and I mean, people felt like they did Michael Myers wrong, you know, with making him feel so much older and kind of keeping you down there until, you know, we were at the premiere, and honestly, we were like, what is going on? What is happening? Whereas we didn't see it going in that direction. I think we really thought that Laurie was gonna be the one to die, or you both were going to. I would have loved for you to pull her in with you. I mean, that's kind of what I had expected, was maybe they go together. The last minute she goes down with him, you know.
But it's interesting the way that you just described
It's
it,
different.
though.
It's different
The
than
way
what
that
I
you
saw.
just described it, though.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense.
It does, but I didn't see that. Whatever, they didn't capture it the way, because if I would have felt that, so that's not you guys, obviously. You felt it in the moment. We all know when it's real. But I didn't see that from the other side when watching it. What did they miss? Did you see what you did on camera, what you did in that room? Did you see on film when you went to see it?
Yes, and the caveat to that is, though, because I lived it.
Yeah.
It was triggering everything that I experienced.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, as far as this, you know, and the guff that I've caught for Halloween Ends has never been directed towards me. Everyone's always said, you were awesome.
Oh yeah,
I wish
sure.
they would have done that.
Yeah, they wanted more of you. We wanted more Michael Myers.
So my answer to that is, you know, I played football back in the day, and the thing about playing any sport is you have to buy into the coach's program. If you can't buy into the coach's program, you got zero chance of winning, let alone, you know, zero chance of winning a championship. So if you don't like the coach's program, get the fuck out. Go find another team. Go play for somebody else. And I feel the same way about movies. At a certain point, you've got to give the director you got to follow his playbook. And did I want to be on that, you know, on the screen 80% more? Fuck yeah. You know,
of course.
Do I want to be in the field every snap? Heck yeah, I do, man. But that was David's choice. And I love and respect David so much that, you know, he knew what he was doing. And I think this is all about Season of the Witch. He knew that, you know, Season of the Witch was not well accepted, but 10 years down the line, 15 down years down the line, 30 years on, you know, that all of a sudden it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
He used to wear a Season of the Witch t-shirt occasionally on the set. He knew exactly.
That has to be pretty fucking powerful, though. Like, as an actor, coming into playing an iconic serial killer like Michael Myers and working with the original lead actress, Jamie Lee Curtis, And the ending, the last movie, I mean, everybody that would come to our table and talk to me, they were always just like, I wanted more James. I wanted more James. I wanted James. I wanted James. That's hard to do, especially when you're working with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
You know, the OG of the fucking franchise. Like this is her farewell. This is her goodbye. This is her movie. And all of it was James, James. I want a James, James, James. That's a fucking massive pat on the back, I think.
Yeah.
In my eyes, like fuck, you just like became this iconic Michael Myers. And you were working with the OG girl.
Did they have any alternate endings? Was there anything discussed other than what you guys actually filmed? I know you guys had to keep it quiet, obviously, but did they have multiple options, or how did what did you guys do?
we reshot the ending.
You reshot the ending.
Yeah,
So what
the
did you
ending.
originally film? Can you say?
Yeah, in the original ending, they put me in a crematorium, and I got slid into the whole flame bars and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's dope.
And then they cremated, but what they did was they kept the mask, and then it ended with a factory producing the masks, and the energy was, my energy is in every single fucking mask.
Oh shit.
That's fucking cool.
But it didn't test well. It didn't test well.
It didn't?
It didn't test well.
Whoa,
And so
why?
they had to go
That's
back,
so
and they had to
bad.
figure out, and it was
Because they want one
Just
Michael
one being.
Myers. They don't want it to be Season of the Witch. It's not about the mask. It's about the man behind the mask.
yeah, it's and so and we know this from we've worked on so many things, all of us, and you just never know until the product is out. I mean, you get a feeling a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
We knew that we had something special in 2018. We just knew.
Yeah.
But you still don't know until the audience reacts. I mean, and I mean, look at politics today. Look at, there's no accounting for intelligence or taste or rationality.
Right.
So, I think our job is just to do our freaking best.
Yeah.
It's not in our control. People, it's not in our control. You show up and things change, things shift, and you got to just sort of let go and let God,
Yeah,
And-
that's the
and-
thing too, is like also like we all have different tastes, and we also should not be so hard on one another for working together as a community, trying to fucking, but I'm talking to myself too, I'm talking to you too, like I'm talking to us too, like we're, like any movie, like it's y'all went out there and did it.
You did it. Yeah.
You fucking did it. You guys did a fucking like classic, like, and you fucking, this is a product. This is a fucking cool product. Like, I'm just speaking to myself and speaking to other people out there. We should be so hard on each other's work, like just because we were in Halloween movies or whatever. Like, I mean, I remember people bashing me before they even knew who I was. They were like, she's no Jamie Lee Curtis. Fuck that bitch, blah, blah, blah. Or coming on set and, the first thing said to me, like, wow, a lot of people, you beat a lot of people out. You beat a lot of people. They wanted all these other people. The studio didn't want you.
But Rob fought for you.
So it's like, it's a hard knock life out there, man. And you got to brush yourself off, and it's pretty incredible. Filmmaking is so cool. And it's so awesome. And it's like, it's unlike anything I've ever, I wish everybody could experience it, because the power and the community form and the love that happens on filmmaking, it's a recharge, and it's like a feeling I've never felt in my,
What are some of your favorite kills from the last 3 movies?
In the first one, I love the window kill, because that's exactly how I would kill somebody. Get in quietly, get it done violently, and leave. Make sure you've got the kill and get out, like no fanfare. And I learned that actually from the mafia guy that was my housemate for a while. It was
oh shit.
we worked on killing skills, and
oh shit.
Yeah, it was cool. And then in Halloween,
I love you. I love you so much.
Yeah, the guy, this murderer that I was living with, gave
I
me
love
all
you.
kinds of pointers and tips on how to really
Love
kill
you.
people.
I mean,
Fantastic.
fuck, Danny
Great.
Trejo. I've learned some really fucking crazy shit from Danny Trejo.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
sure.
Now I know
Right?
how to protect myself. Okay, I can protect myself. Thank you, Danny.
Yeah.
If you ever go to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Here's how you make it look like an accident.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Is that Halloween and Halloween kills? I like I love the Cameron kill. You know, I love snapping that little fucker's neck in the, you know, in the stairwell, because I knew especially women were just not digging this dude. And so I was giving this motherfucker a comeuppance, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna treat her this way, guess what? This is what you get.
Yeah.
And then the end, I mean, it ends. My favorite kill of all the Halloween films is the Bob kill. So the homage to the Bob kill, you know, putting nurse up on the wall. That was, you know, and because that was an homage, and that was a really fun scene to shoot. I mean, the everything about it worked that night. It was really wonderful, but it worked all the time.
How long were your knives? How long were your knives on set? I was amazed by how long these fucking knives were.
Tyler's knives were gigantic.
They were huge.
Oh yeah, Tyler's were bigger. Yeah.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, I think these are Henkel standard kitchen knives. So I think it's like a 14-inch from end to end. So the blade is about the blade's about this big. Yeah, about.
Hold up your hand, James. Hold up your hand. Yeah. Like one of those, but it looks so tiny in your guys' hands. Did you ever
get hurt while filming? Did you have anything go wrong while you were filming any of them?
Dude,
oh no,
he lit
when
up.
we were shooting, I got beat up every single time. When we were shooting 18, pardon me, and you know, there's pardon me, there's a scene where I'm walking and Jamie shoots me in the shoulder. And so the squib hit, you know, the squib was on the back and on the front, and I'd rehearsed taking the hit, doing a squat out of camera frame, standing back up, then turning and walking. And the special effects guy put the battery pack on my left glute.
Ooh.
And I should have told him to move it. But when I turned with such force, when I did the squat, I banged my sit bone onto the concrete with the battery pack, and it just jammed up. Oh, dude, it was so painful. It was just so immediately painful. But I got back up and I managed my walk. Thank God it was the last. It was the martini, so it was the last shot of the day.
Yeah.
And the next morning, which was, you know, nighttime, I woke up. My left glute was in such pain. I got out of bed and I could hardly walk. And I felt like, oh my God, I just played in the Super Bowl and I got my ass kicked, but we won. So then I had to go. I had a hematoma. So
oh shit.
I had to go to every day before work. I had to go to an acupuncturist who did needles all the way around, and then a chiropractor who did lasers on it. And then it took a week for the bruising to come out. Then I had a black cheek and a white cheek.
Yeah, that's right.
My left cheek was about an inch higher than my right cheek. It literally swelled up so much. So I was lopsided. I had a lopsided butt for a few weeks. But I ended up with like in kills, bruised ribs, and my knee was swollen up like a grapefruit, and yeah, it was, you know, I mean, when Jamie and I did our finale, both of us were bruised from our shoulders all the way to our ankles.
But you're right though. I love that feeling.
Oh man,
I love that feeling. I'm like, look at my war wounds. Look at all of these. That's right. I worked for that.
Who out of all the kills that you did in all three, which actor, actress, or character fought the hardest?
Probably Jamie, right?
Well, Jamie is so controlled and so good at it and so meticulous. So in a scene that was cut from Halloween 2018, and this is the first time we had any engagement, any kind of physical engagement. And again, the stuff is cut, but she had a rifle, and when she ran out of bullets, she turned it around and swung like a baseball bat. And I'm holding, you know, like I'm holding let's see, here we go. So I'm holding a knife down like this, right? And she's supposed to hit with a baseball bat, and I'm thinking, this is an actress. This is not a stunt person.
Yeah.
This is a broken hand.
Yeah.
Oh well, you know, here we go.
Yeah.
And we did 30 takes, and she hit the blade every single time.
Fuck yeah.
That woman
That's
is a
right.
freaking athlete. I mean,
Yeah.
so there was a scene. Oh God, why am I spacing on his name? The wonderful actor who played her ex-husband, the
Oh
mother.
yeah.
Why am I spacing? And sorry, dude. So, as an actor, and especially an actor who does his own action, his own, and having been a stuntman, it's really imperative that we understand which lens we're on, where the limits of those lenses are, how much we play with, how much we're allowed to play with. I find a lot of times when I'm working with actors who's never done stunt fights, they completely lose it. They have no idea where they are. They have no idea what they're doing. So it looks like I'm strangling the fuck out of this guy. Really, all I'm trying to do is keep the motherfucker in frame.
Yeah.
Because he's going all over the place, and I'm just trying to keep him like, no, dude, this is,
Yeah.
But that happens. When I fought Rhea and Bob in the bathroom, she fought like a wildcat. I mean, I ended up with just a nasty cut on my head because she yanked my head so hard into a toilet paper dispenser. I mean, but it's all part of it. Like, you have to be, just be aware of it. And I really think actors are remiss by not training their bodies physically, because
Yes.
this is the largest instrument we have, and there's so many actors who have no concept of how to use their bodies. And I think part of what we do, I think the mastery of what we do is committing ourselves 100% to the character we're playing, but also doing the technical job of hitting our marks and keeping people safe and knowing where our light is, and knowing what the operator needs from us in terms of light and position, and all these technical things, and still being 100% committed to the emotion of our character.
All while having no proper rehearsal, because you can't rehearse that stuff. You have to do it half speed. It's got to be very technical. And then when action goes, you don't know. People always ask us, like, how do you prepare for it emotionally? Are you scared, or da-da-da? And it's like, it's different because you don't know what you're going to feel or what's going to come up when it's action, because it's the first time that we're ever doing it. So you have to keep all of those things in your mind. And, we get like 2 minutes essentially of like kind of silence when we're on our mark, ready to start, when they're just doing final touches or last looks or whatever before they yell go. And then you're like, fuck it, that adrenaline rush, which is why I love doing horror movies so much, that dump that happens right before you go do it, where your heart's pounding out of your chest, and then you do it, and then it was so fucking good and then you go see the monitor, and like, how proud do you get of yourself when you're at the monitor and you're like, damn, that looked fucking so good. And you can't tell, it looks like you're totally strangling me, and oh my God, the blood gag worked, and I was really crying tears, and like all of those things that come out in, a 90 seconds, essentially, that you didn't even know was going to happen. I think that's the high.
It's a hit, and it's an addiction. Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
We all love it. We all chase it. We all want it.
It's true. You get the same on the other side too, when you're like, fuck yeah, and you look at the monitor and like, wow, okay, we just fucking killed that.
Man,
that's such a good feeling.
It's better than drugs. Not quite as good as sex, but better than drugs.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It is true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's balance.
I mean, you'd have to in order to stay in this business and keep fighting for it. There has to be something that's scratched. There's that dump of whatever is happening in your brain that feels so good, which is so weird, because you're supposed to be your fight or flight, your fight or flight is happening, and our body's doing all kinds of crazy things. I mean, I know for us, and Scout and I always talk about this, like, we have physical ailments from being the girls that you chase and kill, and all the trauma that we have to go through when we're on set, taking it.
Forgive me for laughing.
Yeah, but
yeah, I know. There's things like Scout's neck is hurt right now from doing boxing class, but she was talking to, was it the chiropractor who was talking about like what this could possibly also be?
There's like so much trauma right here and in my neck, and I feel it, even just touching it is so sensitive. And he's like, what do you do? He's like, what? I feel like you're crunched. I feel like you're like crunched up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm screaming and I'm crying and I'm hiding. Like, this is why this is like, it's so tight and there's so much trauma here. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, you've got it. It feels like scar tissue. It's just like, there's so much tension here. I'm like, yeah, it's my job. So can you fix it? What do you want from me?
Yeah, I use, like, I have a pulsing electromagnetic field mat. I have class 3 lasers I use on parts of my body. I have it's called a DNA vibe belt that's red light and pulsing electromagnetics and I mean, I have all these healing tools and I use them constantly.
God, you fucking guys are
Cryotherapy.
so good at this shit. This is why I'm married a stepman. This is like literally it. Like you guys like have so much knowledge of like your body, you know? And us girls are like, I don't hurt. I'm gonna go get a massage. Like, no,
And
you
my
gotta
nails.
take yeah,
Yes,
nails are done, my
exactly.
hair's done, my eyelashes are done. It's like you gotta really take care of this vessel. You really have to, or else
Yeah.
like when you're, you know, older in age, you're not gonna be walking around as much.
Well, when you have that adrenaline and we're fighting so much and we're doing all of that stuff, it has to affect our cells on a deeper level. You know, your body, I always say like your body doesn't know that you're acting. So how
Right.
do you shake off all the residual from that? I mean, we are essentially, can you imagine a real person, not an actor, going through such things, you know, fighting for their life over and over and over and over and over again, multiple times in a year, essentially, if we do a lot of movies, what that has to do and how that's going to affect our health as we get older.
Oh yeah, you see, like that's why I loved H2. And I know it got a bad rep that I did. And a lot of people come up to me with PTSD and they're like, that's
me.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was
Wow,
up and down,
yeah.
up and down, up and down, up and down. I could not imagine. Like that was a really hard role to shake, but I could not imagine actually going through that in real life.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, don't we always, I mean, we always go through, and I've talked with so many of our colleagues about this, is we always know at the end of a movie that we're going to have a postpartum depression period, right?
Yeah.
And we always freaking forget it. And so we wrap. And unless we go immediately the next day into another show, like within a week, we're like, oh, I just feel
which
like
is what I
shit.
try to do.
I'm done, you know?
Yeah.
And well,
It's what I try to do because that come down, dude. I mean, I've talked about in this podcast. I had my year of being on drugs and getting sober and all of that. But that come down from filming, especially because what we in our line of work and the types of movies that we do, it is so depressing. It's like it's hard on your body. I always get sick.
Yeah, I always get
I'm
sick.
like, how has this gone? How has this been stayed away the entire time? And now I feel like death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
your body just keeps pushing through it to keep you working.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's an answer to it either. You know what I mean? It's just something we just have to whatever our technique is to bring balance back into our lives. The other side of it is I'm the happiest in my entire life when I'm working on a film, when I'm in front of and I've never had a bad experience. I've had a couple of films where, oh, there's a couple of douchebags. I wish they weren't here. But on all the things I've done and all the television shows I've done, and I've also done a lot of foreign language films that are not on my IMDb, and that was to learn. I was in Mexico. I was doing these Mexican films, and I didn't use my name, but I was learning from these filmmakers. There was like we were doing 70 setups a day, and this is way back early in my career, but you know I wanted to learn as much as I could about how this process works. And the more guerrilla you shoot, the more you learn, you know, because, and then we get to the place where you're working on a Ron Howard film and you shoot 3 scenes a day.
Yeah.
You know,
or 3 in a week.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and you're just getting fat because craft service and
vacation.
I mean, it's such a difference. But so I really, I think just understanding that this is just a part of the process and reminding each other when we go through it, and this is what I've started to do with my friends too. It's like when things sort of end, is like, getting a call and say, hey man, let's, what's going on? How you doing? Like, let's do something, or, or pouring oneself into something creative, picking up something new to learn or grow with, because other than that, man, I don't think people would ever understand unless they've done what we do. First of all, the toll it takes on us, as we're talking about now, the sacrifices we've made to do this. I've missed all 4 of my grandparents' funerals because I was working.
No.
That's the thing, right? That's the thing.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
You can't just leave and, kill a production for a week.
It's the job you can't call
Dude, I
to.
remember my dad was in the ICU. And my dad's been in the ICU multiple times, but he was in the ICU. And I had Taylor Hackford. I don't know if you guys are familiar with. He directed Ray and Helen Mirren. They had like push production a week for me, and I remember I was in ICU and I had Helen and Taylor on the phone, and they were like, we can't wait any longer. We need you here, or if you can't come here, we're gonna have to recast you. And I remember thinking, I was like, holy fuck, like I have to choose my father or this job. And luckily my father, like, he would have been so mad at me. He would have been so upset with me if I didn't go do that job. He would have been so upset with me.
Yeah.
And luckily he was well enough to tell me, he's like, why are you here? I remember when he saw me in the ICU, he's like, why are you here? I'm like, because you're dying. Like, I don't understand. What do you mean? Why am I here? But I went and did the job. And luckily my dad is okay, but still, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I know.
Who are we?
Can't call in sick for work.
You can't. They'll just find someone new.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny. Like when people are like, oh, they'll wait for you. It's like, no, they won't.
No.
They can't. They
It's a
can't.
merciless business when it comes to that.
Yeah. It's not because I'm, they'll just go find someone else that looks like me.
But now that being said, when in Halloween Kills, because I held out on Kills and I held out on Ends. I just didn't, particularly like the way I was treated by Blumhouse. And so I just held out on, for writers that just connoted respect. When I made an agreement for money and I agreed for time and everything, I'm a man of my word. And so when I held out for Kills, simultaneously, they were looking for someone to play the flashback character. And David's a purist, so he doesn't want a 65-year-old guy playing a 40-year-old man. He wants a 40-year-old man. I mean, he's just pure that way. And at first I didn't get it. Like, dude, I'm an actor. I can change my movement. But then I saw Aaron move and I was like, oh, no, I get it. So they looked at, as I understand it, over 200 people to find somebody who moves the way I move, and they couldn't. They couldn't find anybody to do the motor mechanics that I do. But it's a very specific move based on several things. First of all, my cat, Parsifal, but more importantly, the martial art Aikido. And in Aikido, it's much like a whirling dervish. The feet never leave the ground. And so the knees are bent. So it's like a gyroscope 2 inches below my belly button is the hara. And that was my guidance. And so the reason I moved differently than anybody else is because of that training and how I applied it to the character. Aaron Armstrong, the stunt coordinator, is primarily a Kung Fu guy, but he also did well over 10 years of Aikido. And so when I pulled him aside and we talked about it, he got it immediately. He immediately He immediately got it. Very creative guy anyhow,
Yeah.
But the thing was, do you think they wouldn't replace me if they could have? But they didn't. They couldn't because they couldn't find anybody to move the way I move who fit the bill.
So what needed to change from the first to the second for you to want to come back to the?
It's just the respect of publicity. They were lying, they're out and out lying that, Nick Castle's back as the Shape and James Courtney is double, which is complete bullshit.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Did you hear that?
Yeah. And then in fact, it was so bad that in Halloween Kills, Blumhouse put out, in all the newspapers like New York Times and LA Times and all the stuff that Nick Castle was back as the Shape. He wasn't even in the freaking movie. He got so pissed off that he called the LA Times. He started calling the newspapers and telling them to retract. First of all, he didn't want to take credit for something that he didn't do. And he and I are like really good friends.
Yeah.
And he knows what bullshit that is. But, we're grown-ups. We know what the business is. We know who we're dealing with. So I just held out for things that mattered. But I'm a man of my word, man, and I just, and these are just small things you have to deal with. But the other side of it is like Ryan Turek, who is the exec at Blumhouse, who I'm good friends with, and he was doing his best. He was between a rock and a hard place because he's dealing with the company, and the company doesn't give two fucks about us.
Right.
And the creatives, which was Ryan's job to nurture us and keep us going. And so I think Ryan did a really wonderful job of being that balance, that stopgap between Blumhouse and the production. And that was one of the things that allowed us to do the things we did. So, I got to give hats off certainly to Ryan.
And I talk about a positive being is Ryan. I enjoy him. I really do like Ryan.
He's the ultimate fan. I mean, that he's got the audience's best interest when making something to put on film. Like he's that guy. Yeah. And also incredibly creative and smart too.
Yeah. And it's so funny when, and you guys know this, when you get the right team, right, and you have the right team together and everybody is, because shit's gonna fly, but the creatives don't need to deal with stuff like that. The creatives need to be free to be creative.
Yeah.
And the less drama, the more, the safer we are to create. And at the end of the day, the better we are at it, the more money we make for everybody anyhow. So,
That's true. That's true.
It's a
Dude,
simple formula.
I remember even on like, I know I have to wrap up here, but I remember being on H2 and it was such a headache for Rob, especially with the Weinsteins. Like, it was like, why are you butting into the creative over here? Like, you just care about this. You don't care about like what fans and the fan base want to see.
But and if this is good, you'll make
that. That's like, come on, guys. This is coming. Just give it time and patience and trust the people that you've hired to create their art that you like love and everybody else loves. So I think that was like it was a constant fight. It kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier. It was like Rob was just fighting and fighting back and forth.
It made it such a horrible experience.
It was wild.
It was sad to see someone with so much love for a franchise hate it so much at the end of the day.
Man,
like it was his dream and it just got ruined by the studio. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, David fought the good fight, and David, I have to say, and I've worked, I think, with some pretty loyal people in my life. David Gordon Green is hands down the single most loyal human being I've ever met in the movies. And the guy he's so clear and he's just not afraid to like look someone in the eye and just give him what for. You know what I mean? He's not a kowtowing kind of guy. So he was really clear about what he wanted and what he needed, and he got it.
I have a question. Are you wanting to direct?
I imagine I will someday. It's not a passion for me right now. I'm much more interested in the, writing, producing, and acting. I know it's going to happen, but it's not my passion right now.
Okay.
But I have the feeling that I may get pushed into it fast, which generally happens in my life anyhow. It'll probably happen before I think I'm ready.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look at people like David work and how he works, and I'm really confident in what I do. I'm not so confident as a director.
There's just like a passion and a love and an understanding that it oozes out of you.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking as myself as an actor, I'm like, oh, I would fucking work for you as a director. Are you kidding me?
The tone, well,
I'll tell you
the tone of the energy.
Will you guys work for Scale?
Yes, I got her to work for Scale on my movie.
Right?
No.
And I would never do that to my friends.
You work for Scale on my movie. I couldn't. There was no way.
No, I don't want to do that to my friends either.
It was wild. Oh, this is awesome. Yeah.
So nice to finally have you on our show.
Yeah.
Everybody's been asking, and I'm so glad that we finally were able to get this to work. You were such a cool fucking being, like you really are. And I'm actually gonna pick your brain on other things that you were talking about.
Please do. Yeah,
because I would love to like find out more.
Yeah,
I'm so into that stuff. Is there do you want to plug anything before we go, or
anything coming out
socials or anything? On?
No, I'm actually negotiating another film right now, and then my coming of age story of a high school soccer player. We were there, and then the strikes happened. So my European money went away. No big deal. I'm talking to some people but I'm really passionate about this one because I've got 2 horror scripts that I'm developing right now. But
cool.
This coming of age story of a high school soccer player, we've got it set up so that we can work with NGOs and nonprofits to simultaneously put pitches in depressed rural areas and depressed urban areas where, these kids, if you put a ball in front of them, you got, 22 kids can play on a soccer match.
Yeah.
You got somebody out there who's like guiding them, mentoring them.
Yeah.
It's such an easy way to make a difference in children's lives and kids' lives who are, and the simple truth is, man, when you've got nothing to do, drugs look really attractive. So does violence,
Yeah.
So I'm really passionate about this soccer thing because, it's powerful, and it speaks to a lot of issues that kids are dealing with, and parents are dealing with. And so for me, doing something that I feel like, I really feel what we do, what you guys do, what I do is a healing ministry. So when people go to see our movies, subconsciously they're releasing trauma. They are taking themselves out of their normal lives. When they come to see us at a convention, some of these folks have saved up for an entire year. And guess what, girls? You guys are like 2 of the 3 that I can afford. You know what I mean? Or I've been waiting all year to meet you. Or so I think every time we get to meet a fan, there's a little bit of healing that goes on, a little bit of love.
100%.
You know? So then we get to be a part of this. We get to be a part of another human being's joy. And I can't imagine any greater or higher calling for myself, at least.
Yeah, true.
It's so true. It's so, do I not talk about this all the time? It's so true.
It's hard. It's hard to take it in sometimes, though. You know, like I know when we get like people that have waited all year or they've wanted to meet for however many years and they cry or whatever. It's hard to think that you could mean that much to someone that's just watching you on a screen, you know, but it is part of the journey, and it does help, you know, with self-esteem, and when I'm depressed or having emotional issues or bad things at home or whatever it may be, to go step out of it and then receive that love really, I think, resets the nervous system a little bit.
I think it's a give and take. It really like anybody that I meet, whether it's a fan or not, like it's a give and take. I'm always giving and taking. I need it just as much as you need it.
It's that perfect, like sort of figure 8 that rolls in and out. You know, it just rolls in and out, and we just and
that's what we need. We're all connected. You know, we're all part of the stars. Like we're all supposed to be working with one another and like helping one another. Yeah.
James, ever been to Burning Man?
No, I have not.
I'm gonna get him there.
James, you should go to Burning Man.
I'm willing to go. Sarah, my partner, really wants to go. I'm the oldest of 7 boys, and I grew up in a tough town, so I have a naturally, ingrained protective nature about me. So when I'm in a crowd of people, I'm automatically looking out for my people, looking out for their. And I understand that Burning Man has a special energy, and it's probably one of the safest places on the planet.
You exude Burning Man. So whenever you want to go, let me know. I have a very, very special camp there. It's actually engineers that build the temple and the man. And I don't know how I found them. They found me, really. And they saved my life. Like these people are truly special. So if you ever want to be a part of a camp, come on down. I'm recruiting a couple this year. And I'm very,
now
very
that you've made
excited.
that offer, Sarah is going to twist my arm and stomp on my head until
I will just slide into them DMs and I'll be like, Sarah, and we will make it happen. Oh, thank you, James, so much. Thank you. And thank you all the listeners for listening to this episode. And please send in your questions, and we have more guests coming.
Next week, hopefully we get to see you at a convention soon.
We do.
We get to play. We get to play this fall.
100%. So we'll catch up on stuff, and let's stay in touch otherwise.
Yes.
Oh,
thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Love you back.
Oh,
bye.
Bye.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. See you, kids.
See ya.